On Christmas Eve, my mother handed my daughter a filthy mop in front of 22 guests and my wife. She smirked. "You eat without paying, so start wiping." My niece sneered. "That's precisely what you deserve, Lily." That night, we packed our bags and vanished. But what I did the next day altered everything. My name is Lucas. I'm 34, a husband, a father, and a librarian who can pinpoint the worn copy of A Tree Grows in Brooklyn without checking. I organize books by day and read to children on Saturdays. I prefer things that are logical, catalog codes, return dates, the soft beep of a scanner. I'm also the eldest son in a family where being helpful has always outweighed being cherished. If there's a dripping pipe, I'm the tool. If someone misses a payment, I'm the source. If there's a celebration to arrange, I'm the transporter, the shopper, the quiet one who arrives early and lingers late. Meanwhile, my younger brother, Jake, is the favored one, boisterous, charismatic, immune to fallout. People say he brightens a space. Mostly he brightens my parents' expressions. I grew up in the shadows, second-hand bicycles, shared birthdays, and the echo of my mom saying, "Lucas won't object," whenever something disagreeable needed handling. I object. I just learned to suppress it. You can master that. This past Christmas Eve, the house was crowded. 22 relatives, neighbors, random friends who heard open house and entered with sweets. My wife, Mara, stood near the tree setting out dishes. Our daughter, Lily, 9 years old, stayed near me because large crowds unsettle her. "Everyone, dishes are ready," Mom announced, already in charge. I tried to unwind. I told myself we'd dine, grin, leave soon. Then Mom approached with a grimy mop, soiled, tangled, leaking onto the floorboards. She pushed it into Lily's tiny grasp like it was a gift. "You eat without paying, so start wiping." Quiet for a moment, then chuckles from the side. My niece, Kayla, smirked. "That's precisely what you deserve, Lily." My chest constricted. I glanced at my wife. Her gaze asked, "Did that occur?" Lily gazed at the mop like it could harm. "Grandma, don't argue," Mom snapped. "If you're going to keep attending here without covering food, you can help. That's how family operates." I heard my voice reply, too composed. "She's 9. Someone cleared throat. Someone else whispered, "It's just tasks." Across the room, Jake lifted his drink like a judge who decided. "Home policy, buddy." I removed the mop from Lily. My mom grinned, not reaching her gaze. Suddenly, I tasted iron. The space smelled like spice and cleaner. I instructed Lily to join her mom. I instructed myself to inhale. That was the instant. The harsh little snap within me. Not a yell, not a commotion, just a sharp, icy boundary I hadn't realized I could set. I set the mop aside, and later that night, after the cleanup and the forced embraces and the silent ride home, we loaded a suitcase. Mara folded nightclothes. I took Lily's library pass and her plush fox. The zipper echoed like a choice. We slipped away to a modest motel on the town's outskirts where the entrance smelled like citrus and the vent hummed. Lily slept between us. I gazed at the ceiling and reflected on a lifetime of Lucas won't object. I object. And the next day, I demonstrated it. I became a librarian because libraries were the initial spot I ever felt like an individual and not a duty roster. When I was young, the branch on Maple had a kids area with a faded carpet and a painting of whales. The librarian, Miss Ortega, recalled my name. She didn't request me to repair anything. She gave me a library card and said, "This belongs to you." I hid it in my sock for a week like a gem. Home was unlike that. Mom has a method of turning generosity conditional. I prepared meals, she'd say, passing me a dish. "So you can trim the grass and drive your brother to training." Dad labored extended hours and agreed with whatever maintained household calm. Jake matured with a narrative force-fed. He's exceptional. He's bound for greatness. I matured with another tale. He can manage it. Funds were always the climate in our home, never openly addressed. Always spoiling intentions. Mom would phone and say things like, "It's no big thing," and then recite figures. The electric charge, the land taxes, the sudden auto fix she'd known about for ages. I was 20 when she first requested a minor advance. It was $300. I was arranging paperbacks then for $10.50 hourly and surviving on noodles. I agreed. Once you agree, the pattern establishes itself. Holidays, could you handle the bird? You earn more now. Trips, we can't depart unless someone contributes. Birthdays, could you grab a few wine bottles? We don't want to let down your aunt. Jake never carried cash, but he always had fresh footwear. When I inquired, Mom said, "He's building connections." You can't grasp that as a librarian. I suppose connections is what we're labeling bedding and flair now. When Lily arrived, I assumed matters would improve or at least shift. New infant sent. Fresh beginning. Instead, the demands grew. Baby event, we'll arrange if you fund. Baptism, we'll coordinate if you pay for the meal. First preschool day, why select that spot? It's costly. By the way, your dad's vehicle needs rubber. I attempted to establish limits, minor ones. I began saying, "Let me review our funds." I purchased a basic notebook and recorded everything, dates, sums. To Mom, $300, $75, $200, $600. To Dad, $50, $50. Fuel money that never fueled. To Jake, $120 for texts that became a pub bill. I never added fees, I didn't pester. I maintained the notebook because the figures grounded me. Why record that? Mom once asked, glancing over my arm. So I remember, I said. You distrust family. I stayed silent. The reality seemed risky. Mara noticed the trend soon. She was raised in a home where parents debated in murmurs and handled their own costs. She posed soft inquiries. Is this viable? Where's the limit? I said things like, it'll ease and they're just pressured. I convinced myself that's what dutiful sons do. Maintain harmony, maintain power on, keep gulping. Then came the mobile plan. Years back, Mom asked if we could include her and Dad, briefly, to our group plan to cut costs for all. Just a month or two, she said. That was 48 months ago. Then she included Jake. Then Kayla required bandwidth for studies. I agreed because I could manage the extra $85. Then the cost rose. Video services, apps, overseas fees from a weekend Jake spent in Cabo. When I mentioned it, Mom said, you behave like we're outsiders. When I halted the video extras, she phoned crying. You cut off your dad's wellness tracker. He lacks a wellness tracker. He views angling clips. The minor degradations accumulated, routine and weighty. Thanksgiving. Mom seated Jake at the table's end and said, my son supports us. And all applauded like prompted viewers. Lily asked me in the vehicle, don't you support us, Daddy? I shifted to pie flavor. 2 months prior to Christmas, I assisted Mom with the attendee roster. It resembled a donation drive. Neighbors, relatives. That woman from worship who gathers shiny tops. It will be shared dishes, Mom said. And then messaged me a shared list with duties. 6 desserts, a roast, fizzy drinks, cubes, additional seats, tissues, a cloth, the fine utensils. Will reimburse, she wrote. She didn't. I entered the figures to the notebook and shut it because noting $642.83 altered nothing. I thought I could endure Christmas, grin for Lily, overlook the jabs, keep the system running. Christmas Eve revealed something harsh and basic. If you don't determine the cost of your self-respect, another will determine it for you. So when Mom thrust a soiled mop at my child, and Kayla sneered like she'd viewed a viral clip about status, I envisioned the notebook in my mind turn to a fresh sheet. Not crimson marks, not retaliation, just a sheet with one word, halt. That night in the motel, Mara lay awake gazing at shadows. We can't return, she murmured. I know, I said. I mean not just the home, to the setup. I launched the notebook app on my device because figures ground me. I ignored sums. I viewed dates. The previous time I'd refused my mom was 12 months prior, just once. I questioned myself, just once. Mara faced me. What do we say to Lily? The reality, I said, that we don't erase disrespect. My device vibrated. 12 messages from the family chat. All about who left a mess on the surface and who claimed the incorrect dessert. Not one note about what occurred to Lily, not one. I placed the device screen down. The following morning, I brewed coffee in a disposable cup and observed the lot cover with ice. I reflected on my library's serene guidelines. Notices that state no eating. Use soft tones. Handle items gently. They're not about dominance, they're about regard. I chose to create our own notice. A limit in clear words. And then I performed the action I'd evaded for years. I opened the notebook and reversed it. We returned to my parents' home around midday on Christmas because my mom messaged, crisis, arrive immediately. I told Mara I'd make it brief. Lily carried her fox. I carried my notebook and a resolve I didn't identify. 22 faces once more. Gift paper floated like streamers. The screen roared again. Mom stood by the counter with a cloth like a badge of authority. When she spotted me, her expression hardened. There you are, she said. You departed without washing your plates. Mara froze. Jake, feet on the stool, smirked. Tough evening, sibling. I placed the notebook on the surface and flipped to the initial sheet. The pages made a sharp noise. I'm here to address last night, I said, tone stable, and about several other matters. Mom crossed arms. If you're planning to create drama on Christmas. No drama, I said, just details. Kayla lingered behind Jake, gaze sparkling like it was entertainment. Lily gripped my palm. I maintained my voice level. Mom, you gave my daughter a soiled mop and informed her she eats without paying, so she should wipe. That won't recur. Mom blinked, then regrouped. We all assist. You simply dislike exposure. Assisting differs from degradation, I said, and we cover much. Jake grunted. Here comes. He eyed the notebook. What is that assignment? A log, I said. I recited figures aloud. Composed. In the past 3 years, we've handled the Thanksgiving roast twice, the complete Easter meal once, 10 shared events that weren't shared, and your household mobile plan for 4 connections, plus 2 extras Kayla activated, totaling $49.82.17. The space altered, seats shifted, someone lowered the screen. Mom's lips thinned. You're being vulgar. I'm being precise, I said, because precision safeguards all. Here are our limits. I inhaled and sensed my pulse steady. We're eliminating all non-vital fees from the mobile plan today and moving your connections to your separate account by week's end. We won't finance gatherings, shared meals, or unexpected costs. If we decide to contribute something, that's a present, not a charge. We won't tolerate disrespect toward Mara or Lily entry to this home, and we won't share our earnings or funds with you. Jake straightened. So you're abandoning us. I'm abandoning a cycle, I said. This isn't about payback. This is about conclusion. Mom advanced. Conclusion? After all we've provided. After nurturing you, housing you, sheltering you, you sheltered us, I said gently. We were children under it. Kayla mocked. He's fragile. Mara's voice was soft but solid. Stop. Mom aimed at Lily. Kids assist. That's family function. Kids assist by growing, I said. You gave her a dirty mop before 22 people to prove who funds. That's not assisting, that's shaming. Jake's grin vanished. You believe you're superior because you handle books for work. I don't believe I'm superior to anyone, I said. I believe we merit regard. Mom's expression shifted. The warmth faded. If you exit now, don't anticipate calls. Don't anticipate aid. Don't anticipate a place here. I'm not seeking aid, I said. I'm seeking calm. She laughed bitterly. You won't survive without us. I shut the notebook. We survived while lifting you. We'll manage releasing it. For a long inhale. No one talked. The tree bulbs blinked. Lily's grip eased on mine. I raised our jackets. Mara assisted Lily into hers. Mom's last strike hit where she always targets. You're thankless, Lucas. You and your small group eat without paying and then criticize. I met her gaze. We've paid in funds and quiet. Both balances are settled. We headed to the exit. Dad finally spoke from the chair without shifting from the screen. Don't act in haste, you'll regret. I stopped. I won't. Outside, the breeze was crisp and pure. There were no more terms to bargain, just decisions. We chose ours. We returned to a home that abruptly seemed larger. The bag sat open on the floor, half emptied, like it couldn't choose which existence to fit. Lily viewed animations with a focus that pained me. Mara prepared hot drink and told me to rest. My device glowed at 1:12 p.m. family chat, 14 fresh notes. Then 22, then 57. I didn't view them. I set my device screen down and heard the heater hum. At 2:03 p.m., Mom phoned. I allowed it to ring. At 2:04 p.m., Jake phoned. At 2:08 p.m., Mom once more. Then came the notes. Mom, you shamed me in my home. Mom, we nurtured you better. Mom, your girl needs to learn responsibility. Jake, man, the charge for this month is covered, so don't be small. Mom, if you cut the phones, your dad can't contact the physician. Jake, siblings, seriously, why are you being a bookkeeper about this? At 2:30 p.m., I accessed the provider app and deleted the video extras. At 2:31 p.m., a fresh note from Kayla. Why is the kids' channel gone? At 2:32 p.m. Mom, intolerable. At 2:33 p.m. Me, we're moving the connections this week. You'll have your separate account. 3 dots. Then so that's family treatment. Mara touched my limb. You're acting correctly. I nodded. My palms trembled, so I did what I always do. I recorded. I launched a new email, subject, our limits. I kept the tone dull deliberately, like a library rule sheet. Hi Mom, Dad, Jake, and Kayla. Yesterday, Lily received a filthy mop and was shamed before guests. That was unacceptable. Moving forward, we will not join events where Mara or Lily face disrespect. We will not finance family meals, mobile plans, or optional costs. We will not share our salary or budget. If we opt to offer a gift, it is not compensation for else. Money requests will be refused. This is not penalty. This is a limit. If these conditions are honored, we're open to future short meetings in neutral spots, park, coffee shop. If not, we'll withdraw. Lucas and Mara. I read it to Mara. She pressed my leg. Send it. I hit send at 3:12 p.m. At 3:13 p.m. the group chat burst. Mom, a roster. You sent a roster. On Christmas, Jake, haha, park coffee. You think you're above your home. Mom, you always were distant like your dad's kin. At 3:20 p.m., a new note appeared. From Aunt Rose, the sole relative who ever inquires Lily about her reading group at school. Saw the group frenzy. I'm sorry, you acted rightly. At 3:24 p.m., Mom once more. If you're so upset about funds, why not just bill? The bitter chuckle I didn't seek rose in my throat. I inhaled and didn't respond. At 3:39 p.m., my device vibrated 28 times in 2 minutes. Missed rings. I set to silent mode. Around 5 p.m., Lily climbed onto my lap, drink mustache on her lip. Am I punished? She asked. No, I said. You are not punished. You did nothing incorrect. Grandma said we eat without paying. I sensed Mara's gaze on me. I kept my voice gentle. We always cover our share, sometimes with funds, sometimes with effort. Last night someone tried to make you pay with your dignity. We don't allow that, she pondered. Like the notice at the library. Yeah, I said. Like the notice at the library. We prepared toasted sandwiches and played a table game and viewed a light film. It felt like a fresh practice. Tiny serene acts that aren't for display. At 9:10 p.m. my dad rang. I stepped to the corridor and answered. His tone was subdued. Your mother's distressed. I know, you didn't need to publicize. I presented details. A lengthy pause. Your brother says you're ending the phones. I'm shifting the connections by Friday. I'll handle this current month. After it's yours. He exhaled deeply. The exhale meant to induce guilt. We're on fixed pension, son. Dad, I can assist once with the shift cost, I said. But I'm not maintaining a plan for 4 grown-ups who label us greedy. Another pause. Your mother says you humiliated her. Dad, I said, keeping steady even as my chest heated. She humiliated my daughter. He didn't reply. When he did, his tone was smaller. You know your mother's ways. I do, I said. That's why I documented. We ended with a silence truce. At 10:02 p.m., Kayla shared a post. A dark image with pale text, some lack appreciation, and marked me. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened Lily's sleep story. She selected Matilda. We alternated reading. When we reached where Matilda sees grown-ups can err, Lily looked up at me like verifying an idea. Is it fine if I skip grandma's for a bit? She asked. It's more than fine, I said. We're selecting where it's secure to be young. The following morning. This is the segment that altered everything. I performed something I hadn't in 12 years. I entered my supervisor's office at the library and asked for a week away. Family matters, I said. She agreed and said take the period. Then I sat at a spot near the glass, launched my computer, and composed a note. Not to my mother, to myself. A guideline. Luca's Household Guideline version 1.0. We do not fund entry to affection. We do not tolerate shame as payment. We do not justify core limits with explanations. We state the guideline once and depart. We reply only to respectful and clear messages. We retain records for our clarity, not to wield. I output it, attached it inside the pantry door beside the grains. At 11:21 a.m., I contacted the provider and shifted the connections. The agent recited terms. When I ended, my device began vibrating again. Mom, Kayla says her device stopped linking to the streaming. Restore it. Me, your account is live. You can include whatever services you select. Mom, this is spiteful. Me, it's a limit. She sent a section about all she'd done for me when I was thankless and poor. I drafted and erased 3 responses. Then I sent 5 words. We won't debate the past. At noon, I sent $150 to Dad for the shift fees with the memo, one time. Then I flipped my device screen down and constructed a block fortress with Lily, while Mara organized clothes like it was reflection. By night, the clamor changed. The notes decreased. A final large outburst from Mom. You'll sorrow this when we're departed. Then silence. Not harmony, but silence. That night, we gathered around the modest eating spot with a low-cost light in a preserve container and ate pasta. Lily shared about a classmate who hisses when upset. Mara chuckled for the initial time and days. It felt like alighting from a conveyor and rediscovering your stride. A week went, then 2. The group chat diminished without my input. The rings fell from 15 daily to 2 to 0. Each time I questioned myself, I opened the pantry and reread the guideline. It didn't heal the pain, but it straightened my stance. On the 3rd midweek, Aunt Rose asked us to the green space. No plan, no ties. Lily dashed with her cousins. Rose sat on the seat and said softly, sometimes your mother confuses command for care. I nodded. Sometimes I confuse tolerance for care, I replied. I kept awaiting a grand, scripted regret from my mother. It never arrived. Instead, a minor event occurred that signified more. The library site held family reading hour. We do a basic close. Each child scribes one proud thing on a paper shape and attaches it on a large Azure board. Lily wrote in big script, I refused a cruel act and my dad supported me. She placed her shape at the peak, arms raised. I gulped deeply behind the counter. Mom finally messaged, 3 weeks post-Christmas. We'll host a modest meal next month. Just close kin. No issues. You provide sweet. I read it twice. Old me would have yielded. New me spotted the lure. I responded, thanks for the offer. We're unavailable. Glad to gather at a coffee spot for an hour next month. If not, another occasion. 3 dots. Then nothing. Here's what I discovered. Limits seem harsh when raised to view your value as your utility. The initial week, I quivered. The second week, I mourned. By the 3rd, I began crafting small habits that were mine. I prepared flat cakes with Lily every Sunday. I took Mara on a $7 drink outing and left my device in the compartment. I repaired our own dripping tap and didn't inform anyone. Did the funds shift? Yes. We kept an extra $312 the first month without surprise, shared meals and service fees. But the larger change wasn't figures. It was space. The home felt open. Lily's giggle was stronger. Mara's posture relaxed. Jake sent a last note in February. You escalated over a mop. I replied, I chose truth. He sent an eye roll icon. I didn't respond. I don't resent him. I just don't lift him. Sometimes I recall that precise instant. Soiled gray strands leaking on my child's palms, and I sense a burst of warmth. Then I envision the notice on the library surface. Handle items gently. We're individuals, not items, but the guideline endures. So here's my lesson, stated clear for anyone needing it. I won't fund a spot at a table that offers shame. I won't allow my daughter to learn that care is a debt you pay by diminishing. I won't clarify my limits to those who gain from misinterpreting them. I'll state the guideline once. I'll depart when violated. This isn't retaliation. This is conclusion. And tonight, when Lily requests another section and Mara hands me the low-cost light, and the home is serene in the finest way, I know precisely how to reply to the next offer that arrives with a mop.